What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the world according to Briggs. My name is Briggs. I travel and I talk about it, both on this channel and on my upcoming podcast. We just recorded the first episode, and we'll be launching when we have a few more on June 1st. It's called Stories from America, and there's a link below that'll take you right to it. There's nothing uploaded yet, but there will be on June 1st, 2019. And if you're watching this after June 1st, 2019, go ahead, there's something there. Enjoy it. Don't wait for like the next June 1st, 2019. That might be billions of years away, and the dinosaurs might have to come back and we might have to reset time. I'm not sure. I'm not a historian and I'm not an archaeologist, so I'm not sure if the dinosaurs will ever come back. But that being said, it's a podcast about living in different parts of America. Like the individual experience. Some are just stories that I got from talking to people when I travel, and some I'll be actually talking to the person, and they'll tell us about where they live and where they lived, possibly, and the experience they had growing up there and living there, whatever. We'll just learn about towns and places in America. But speaking of where people live, recently I did a most affordable cities in the United States. I had a good amount of requests for a video about affordable small towns. Small towns are becoming more and more popular these days. Now, I've talked about it before on this channel about how people are able to work from home and they're moving to small towns because it's more affordable. I mean, it totally makes sense if it works for your life. Most small towns are very affordable and safer. Two things people want to live their lives. And before you do, stop typing. Common sense tells us all that not every small town in the US is safe or affordable. We'll just assume that. This is a video about the ones that are safe and affordable. But I thought today we'd look at where we could find some of these affordable small towns. So sit back, relax, and watch my top 10 most affordable towns in America. Number 10. Tupelo, Mississippi. It's not too often Mississippi makes it onto a positive list, so congratulations, Tupelo. You're a diamond in a really, really rough state. Tupelo is famous for being the birthplace of Elvis Presley. These days, it has a population of about 34,000 people with a median household income of about $42,000 a year. They have a really low unemployment rate of about 3.8%. The cost of living here is about 15% lower than the national average. It makes it very easy to live in this town comfortably. You can get a well-kept 3-bedroom home on an acre or two for about $100,000. On top of that, it's relatively safe. AreaVibes.com gives it a B- in crime, which is solid, especially for Mississippi. Way to go, Tupelo. Number 9. Williston, North Dakota. Williston is in the northwestern part of the state, right off the Missouri River. Because of North Dakota's oil boom, the town has seen about a 49% population jump since 2010. This has also brought in new, secure jobs, ultimately leading to an unemployment rate of about 2%, which is solid. The income per capita here is $46,000 a year, making this town incredibly easy to live in. Low crime, housing is cheap, but is creeped up because of the population explosion that kind of happens, but it's still a very inexpensive place to live. Once you get past living on the frozen tundra of North Dakota, it's kind of nice. Number 8. McPherson, Kansas. McPherson is a college town, home to about 28,000 residents, and McPherson College as well as Central Christian College of Kansas. Being a college town, everything is fairly affordable here. Your home prices are pretty low. The average home here goes for about $160,000. That's about $80,000 less than the national average. The good news is you won't suffer from the heat and the humidity of the South. It does happen, but it's rare, and it rarely gets frozen like North Dakota. So that's a plus. The only thing that really sucks here is the high school and middle schools. They are graded an F. I think the kids are too busy dreaming about places that might have some excitement, too busy to study, This place is great if you're not looking for a nightlife. Number 7. Van Wert, Ohio. Van Wert is a small town of only about 28,000 residents, but you would never know it by just driving through. It has a lot of stuff you wouldn't expect to find in such a small town. Van Wert has the Van Wert Civic Theater, as well as the Wassenberg Art Center. The main street is lined with various kinds of shops. This is all very luxurious. Well, at least by Ohio standards. One disturbing thing about the town is they have a video store. These things are becoming rare, like phone booths. The median home price is only about $95,000, making this town very affordable. Low crime, great schools, and a low cost of living. You could do so much worse in Ohio. Number 6. St. Joseph, Michigan. St. Joseph is right on Lake Michigan with about 8,500 residents. With the lake being right there, it attracts a ton of tourists every single year. The good news is, this doesn't make the cost of living spike. Does a lot of other places, not in St. Joseph. The cost of living here is actually 15% lower than the national average, and the median home price is only about $145,000. I was looking at houses there that are like $200,000 right off the water. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, the only bummer is the weather. It's Michigan, so it's gonna get cold. Thankfully, it's not like the upper part of Michigan, it's the lower part, but that still gets cold. But every other stat is what every single person is looking for. Housing is great, schools are amazing, the economy and jobs are decent, and it's one of those places where people probably have to think back to the 60s or 70s to remember the last murder they had. They have no crime there. I went to other websites that I normally don't go to, besides the FBI thing, looking for any hint of anything like that. Nothing. Number 5. Lexington, Nebraska. Lexington is home to about 25,000 residents and is about 2 hours west of Lincoln, Nebraska, which is the second largest city in Nebraska, and really Lincoln's not that big. There's not a lot going on in Nebraska. Lexington has an amazing unemployment rate of 2.8%. The town's major employer is Tyson's Foods beef processing plant, which employs about 3,000 of the residents. I know a guy who worked at a meat processing plant when he was in his 20s. He always said after working there 1 week, he went vegan. He's like 50 now and he's still a vegan. It damaged him, I guess. Anyway, the cost of living in Lexington is 19% lower than the national average, and the cost of housing in Lexington is 47% lower than the national average. Crime is lower than average, and the schools are decent. Number 4, McRae, Helena, Georgia. Okay, so technically these are two towns, but if you're not from here, you'd never know. They're like out in the middle of nowhere together. These two towns are so affordable, they had a Dollar Tree and a Dollar General directly across the street from each other, locked in an epic struggle for the residents' dollars. That was until Dollar General lost the struggle in like 2017, 2018, closed the store down. Everything here gets graded an A, but schools and jobs. Jobs got a C, schools get an F. So that kind of sucks. The cost of living in McRae, Helena is 25% lower than the national average, and houses are dirt cheap. Number 3, Burlington, Iowa. Burlington is on the Mississippi River about 165 miles east of Des Moines. The town has about 25,000 residents and the unemployment rate is about 2.9%, with a median home value of $90,000. That's $120,000 less than the national average. You heard me right, $120,000 less than the national average. They're almost giving homes away here. This is a prime place to move and live. They've been losing residents faster than they can bring them in, and it's been going on this way for about a decade or so now. It's probably the boredom. It's really easy to get bored in Iowa. The cost of living in Burlington is 21% lower than the national average, and the cost of housing in Burlington is 47% lower than the national average. Number 2, Muskogee, Oklahoma. Muskogee is a small college town of about 40,000 residents, 2 hours away from Oklahoma City. It was made famous in 1970 when country singer Merle Haggard released an anti-hippie-ish type song called Okie from Muskogee. The song was actually released on December 29th, 1969, so stop typing. I promise you, a few people thought they had their gotcha moment for the day. Anyway, that was when the song was released, and that was about the last time anything really ever happened here. The good news is it's very affordable with a median household income of about $38,000. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, and I understand that, but the cost of living here is painfully low. It's actually 21% lower than the national average. That's low. The cost of housing here is 49% lower than the national average. You could survive here and live pretty good on a McDonald's income. And before we get to number 1, don't forget there's a poll at the end of the video. Usually it'll pop up it always pops up in the right corner about 15 to 20 seconds before the end of the video. Helps out with data for upcoming videos. And number 1. Logansport, Indiana. Logansport is a small town just east of Lafayette and 23 minutes north of a little town with the greatest name, Young America, Indiana. Logansport has about 37,000 residents that all love the outdoors. They kind of have to. The Wabash River is running right through town. The median home price here is really low. It's only about $62,000. The unemployment rate is about 3.4, which is lower than the national average, but not the best one on this list. The cost of living in Logansport is 20% lower than the national average, and the cost of housing is about 55% lower than the national average. This makes Logansport one of the most affordable towns you could find. that isn't like wrecked with crime or anything like that. Strangely enough, the guy I talked about in Lexington, Nebraska that went vegan after working at a meat processing plant, this is where he lives and where he worked at the plant. There's a Tyson plant there. I reached out to him on Facebook about this video, and he said it's strange. Without knowing the stats and everything like that, he thinks over the last 10 years, it's been getting cheaper to live in Logansport. That's really strange. If that is true, I doubt it is completely true, but I'm sure there's some merit to him saying that. That's a glowing review for a town. Logansport, Indiana is one of the most affordable towns to live in that doesn't have a myriad of horrible things going on there. All right, so that's the top 10 most affordable towns in the United States. You know, I could probably do 10 lists on this. There's a lot of really good ones, so this really isn't the top. This is just 10 really good ones, I think. Anyway, don't forget all the links below. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Don't forget the little bell there that tells you when I uploaded. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.